Alright, greetings and welcome back, gentles and ladiesmen, to another King K-tastic. I keep defaulting to that, I don't know why. King K, if you're watching, your name, King K-rific, just rolls right off the tongue. If you can somehow incorporate that into your famous outro in one of your upcoming episodes, I would appreciate that. In case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you should all go check out King K, because he's a very intelligent guy. He's on the Unversed cast with me. He makes high-quality video game analyses, which he calls retrospectives. So that, I guess if you call them retrospective instead of review, it makes it seem different than that somehow. I don't know. Anyways, we're going back to Bazaar. What will be in this fine day, kitty? Yes, it's no ordinary one, though. It was Cranky's great-grandfather's. I can't let it go for less than 50 coins. Could I interest you in buying this fabulous item? I can tell you now, kitty, that you have made a very worthy purchase. Catch you later, kitty. I'm open 24 hours, you know. So in the last episode, I believe a couple things happened. First, we finished off Pacifica and unlocked the final world in the game. I don't know, I guess Krematoa could be considered the final world, but since, you know, this is the final world we unlocked, essentially, and that's Chaos Core. This is the final area in the game. This is where the final battle will be had. And right off the bat, God, what is it called? Jungle Jitters, I think is what this track is called. Jungle Jitters and the SNES version, since I've been doing music comparisons for the whole game. I know it's a jungle track by Evelyn Novakovic. It's fine. I don't know. It's obviously it doesn't quite hold a candle to something like Jungle Hijinks or even what was it called? Primal Rave from the second game, which was actually, if you listen very closely to Primal Rave and DKC2, a remix of Voices of the Temple. There's a part where it gets towards the end of the loop where it's like boom boom bum boom boom bum ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, and it's just like, that's the Voices of Temple loop. I thought that was very creative on David Wise's part. And then you listen to Jungle Jitters in this game, it's like it does the job. It's one of the middling tracks in the game, where I'd kind of rank it more towards the middle with something like I don't know, something like Rockface Rumble and Nuts and Bolts obviously being at the top, along with the bonus room theme, which is excellent. All the David Wise tracks from the DKC 3 SNES soundtrack are all pretty solid. You know, because David Wise is an excellent composer. And I can't think of a game besides probably Star Fox Adventures where I thought his music was even just okay. Like, most of Star Fox Adventures, I don't know, even then on a second playthrough I was remembered more of it than I thought I would, so. Just a heads up, you should be keeping an eye out for bonus rooms in the stage, because there are a couple of dickish placements, or where they basically, that foliage up at the top of the screen, is obscuring bonus rooms, and, you know, it's kind of one of those things where no matter how many times I played DKC3, I can never quite remember exactly where they are, and I very often miss them and have to replay the stage. So check up on the conveyor belts and look around and make sure you're not missing them, because that would suck. Because, I don't know, even in a good stage, you don't want to have to replay it for, you know, just a measly bonus room, you know? Well, I guess you don't have to technically finish it, because this isn't the Returns games after all. But, what was I getting on about? Jungle Jitters in the original is, you know, it's fine, it gets the job done. And then this is another one of those David Wise tracks for the GBA game, where there's like a shit ton of ambient noise in it that goes on for like multiple minutes. Like the first chunk of Jungle Jitters GBA is just jungle noises. And then if you wait long enough, you'll actually get to hear the song. And the song itself is a remix of Jungle Hijinks, which is always swell. And it's one of the more interesting, it's different. I don't know, maybe I'll put it after the end slide or something, or maybe I'll put it for a loop here so you guys can listen to it. But it's a very slow-paced remix of Jungle Hijinks, and I think the name of the track is technically DK Island Swing. I can never remember, because DK Island Swing sounds like what Simeon Segway should be named, you know what I'm saying? When you know DK Island, the map screen, it just makes sense that it would be called that, but no. It is, in fact, actually I think our bonus room's up there, yeah. See, it's hidden in the foliage. Can barely see it, so I guess I should be thanking these buzzes for killing me so many times, so that I could notice that. But this one, I think, is another one of these, where we gotta collect the green bananas, but this one's not so bad. I haven't even really talked about the gimmick of this level, and that's the conveyor belts, or conveyor ropes on the trees, which is kind of an interesting gimmick. You gotta dodge the buzzes as always. I ain't got nothing against that. I have noticed, just, you know, because, you know, obviously when you're doing practice playthroughs and commentating, you start to pick up on details that maybe you didn't notice, is that compared to the second game, and I don't know, I guess this falls in line pretty well with the first game as well, really the design acumen of DKC3 really extends to dodging enemies. That's really the entirety of the level design. Like, you go back to DKC2, and obviously dodging enemies is always a part of the you know, that's always an element at play. But with DKC3, it feels like the only trick up their sleeve is that the only trick up their sleeve was, I don't know, we'll put some moving stage hazards, and then you have to like duck and dive your way around some enemies that are invulnerable from all sides, and then that's the stage. Oh no, it's fine. But I guess what I'm getting at is, then you go play DKC2, and it like levels like Red Hot Ride come to mind, where you have more interesting ideas, like you've gotta ride across these balloons, across this lava pit, or something like Target Terror, where you have to hit the barrels before you get to the doors, or something like Haunted Hall, where you have to get the red and green barrels to keep your timer up so that the ghost doesn't get you, stuff like that. And then you play DKC3 and it's just dodging buzzes the whole game. With a couple of inventive set pieces here and there, but it's just like, that's another thing that kind of contributes to this game feeling kind of samey the whole way through. Anyways, we've reached a new Brothers Bear character. Hey, hi there, Kongs, how you doing? My name's Baffle, the Master of Code. I've got a problem at the moment. I can't break a code I'm working on. Maybe I should reflect on it. Hey, Kongs, is that a mirror you've got there? If it is, could I borrow it? I've got a hunch. Hey, look at this. It was a riddle written backwards. It says, to open the gate at the 2 stones make 8. Well, what do you reckon that means? Can you figure this one out, Kongs? Okay, so my big recommendation, visit Baffle first. There's another Brothers Bear character we can visit in this game, who you need the mirror for. And this is another cave level, and it's another boring as shit level I think it's the gimmick here is like, you remember those ghost ropes from Ghostly Grove in the second game? Well, I guess there are ghost barrels too, and it's kind of the same idea where they disappear and reappear and you've got to use them to progress. I really hate these ones when you have to like use them as a barrel cannon to get upwards, because they always like randomly choose between a bunch of states, and like I always go too early, and that's just annoying to play. And especially here where I can't see what the right way is, like you just kind of have to know that you have to go directly upwards. Or I guess you have to go sideways. Like, see, I can't see, I wouldn't know. Up over here, and that's... I remember that barrel being annoying to reach in the original, so... And I really do have a lot of coins at this point in the game. But there's nothing really left to spend it on. Like with DKC 2, there was plenty of stuff to spend it on throughout the whole game. You could have hints, which were all optional. So if you wanted to learn about something in the game, in the original you had to use them, save the game, stuff like that. Here, you really just use them to buy side quest items, and I guess you could use them to play Sankey's Sideshow in the original and Swinky's Dash in this version. But I don't know, I would've, just feel like worthless currency after a certain point. We have another star mission. That reminds me a lot of the one from the Buzzer Barrage with the copter in the middle, except instead of having a copter in the middle that you use to get up to the top of the screen, you have a ghost barrel. I don't know, it's fine. I guess I like that one more because, you know, you can't get killed by a ghost barrel, obviously. Let's see, I think one of the most annoying steel barrel coin sections is coming up. And I need to get up there. And if you can thread the needle, so I guess that's an option for you. Now the stage kind of reminds me just a bit of Hornet Hole from the original. Oh, and remember how I said Nakas behaved differently than Clubbas? For some reason, Squitter can't kill Nakas. I don't know why. Because the fucking clobbers died pretty easily to them. Make sure you time your jumps here, because I have gotten caught in loops with these ghost barrels, where you just keep shooting in and out, shooting out of them and then immediately landing on a web and then going right back into them, and then that loop repeats until the barrel disappears, and it's just annoying to get through. Oh, I fucking hate this one. We better take this slow. Well, we're fucked. Alright, so if all else fails, swap to Dixie. And sit through the long-ass "you failed" jingle. Even though I've got to go with the GBA soundtrack pretty much across the board, I do admit it has some flaws that I have not really talked about too much up to this point, and that is one of them. The lose jingle for the bonus streams takes too long. What was wrong with the original jingle was just like da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then it's done. And it didn't need to go on for 10 seconds. But I digress again. Alright, so creative use of the roll jump and Dixie's helicopter spin will take care of that bonus room if you lose your Squitter. And thankfully, when you die or lose the bonus room, you just respawn next to it, so you don't have to get Squitter again and climb all the way up, because that would be retarded. Looks at Swoopy Salvo. Which is a fucking terrible level, and I hate that coin so fucking much. That alone kills the stage, but I don't know. As I said in my review, I do not recommend the completionist run of this game to anyone except crazy people like me, or people who really like DKC, and especially to people who are both, like me. Let's see. Okay, so with this one, what you gotta do... This is probably the most annoying coin puzzle in the game. Shoot this directly upwards, and then shoot over this way. Like, you gotta time it so that you throw it when the thing appears, and then jump over, and don't hold the B button or you will grab the barrel, and you don't want that. And usually it only takes me a few tries to... Yeah, and if you throw it directly, you have to do an overhead throw. In fact, I probably need to do this. Ugh. Ugh. Alright, got it. So, some of you might say, why not just jump into the barrel while you're holding it? Well, oh, they actually changed it for this version. Interesting. On the SNES version, the barrel just drops off screen when you do that. So I guess they actually made this a little better. I don't know. It's one of those really minor differences that I barely notice. And it makes me wonder how many of those actually mention the video, the review thingle. I feel like I was talking about something. I always am. But once again, I can't remember it at all. So here we have what Baffle was telling us about. We have to go around these rocks here. And as, you know, I mentioned earlier that the Brothers Bear got completely redesigned, like before they looked like doofy cartoon Yogi Bears. In this game they look surprisingly photorealistic. Wow, I actually memorized that. I am impressed with myself. Usually I can't do that kind of stuff, so... So the voice I was actually doing for, the Brothers Bear back there, was my best impression of Chief Grizzly from Hoodwinked, who was voiced by an actor named Exhibit, who's probably a rapper or some kind of musician, or maybe he was just an actor. I haven't heard of Exhibit being in anything besides Hoodwinked 1, so... Yeah, you guys tell me what Exhibit is otherwise known for. This is another case where they decided to change the background color. But this is Lightning Lookout, which is... when I first played the game, I was really annoyed with the stage, and I think this was the level where I gave up on my first playthrough because I just couldn't beat it. It's actually a pretty easy stage. The gimmick is that, and it's a pretty fun stage actually. I think this is one of the best gimmicks in DKC3. Certainly one of the most memorable, and certainly one of the ones that it's just like, it's not just another romp through the riverbank, it's something different. And the gimmick is that we have this giant thundercloud following us the entire stage, and it will let down lightning drops. Now, the lightning has AI. It will home in on you. So if you stand in place long enough, it will do that. And then basically what you've got to do is you've got to fake out the lightning. You got to, like, it likes to actually lead its shots too, which is kind of fascinating. Like, as I'm running this way, you can see it appeared in front of me, like it's trying to do it. So what you got to do is you got to wait until it appears at the top of the screen. That'll show you, like, it'll blink at the top of the screen, then come down to actually attack you. And what you gotta do is you gotta fake it out. You gotta... when it pops up in front of you, you gotta stop in place so that it doesn't hit you. And that's really all there is to it. And you not only do we need to dodge the lightning, but we also need to use it to kill certain enemies. Like you saw back there, I used it to kill a bounty bird and get a barrel, which I then used to hit another bounty bird and all that shit. It looks like I'm not getting up there, unless... Oh, wait. Might be able to salvage this after all. By the way, something weird that I haven't mentioned yet, and you might have noticed it yourself, is that for some reason, in the GBA ports, or remakes, or whatever the hell these are, of DKC 2 and 3, the original versions of those of DKC 2 and 3 completely remade the DK barrel sprites. Like, they look distinct from the way they did in the first game. For some reason, in the GBA versions, they just reused the DKC 1 sprites. Which is fascinating, because in DKC 1 remake, they replaced a lot of graphics in that game to make it look like the sequels, but in this case, it was the other way around. They made it look like the first game in that respect, which is always something, because like I'm just used to the DKC 1 sprite, so whenever I go back to the SNES 2 and 3, which is fairly often, I should know, like I always think it looks weird to see the different sprite that's only in those versions of the game, of those two games in particular. So yeah, I know this level's pretty fun. I don't know why I had so much difficulty with it. It's really easy to get a read on how this lightning behaves, and once you know that, the level basically beats itself. Coin Dozer Clamber, we have another jungle stage. And basically, Coin is back with a vengeance. I just recently watched Jay's review of Metal Gear Solid and sat through an hour of story analysis. Which was interesting. It's like with Metal Gear, it's just like, I've played all the games, I appreciate the production value, certainly, but when it comes to, like, analyzing the themes, a lot of that stuff feels like it's buried just maybe a little bit too deep. I don't mind plots where you have to bring your own interpretation and stuff, and I don't know, I guess this criticism applies more to Metal Gear Solid 2 more than anything. But when your message is so muddled that, you know, like, people can't understand what you're saying, then you've kind of failed. Because I guess Metal Gear Solid 3 succeeds where 2 doesn't, because the core narrative kind of underlying all the themes is straightforward enough to understand and emotionally engaging either way, whereas with Metal Gear Solid 2, it's just a fucking clusterfuck of ideas that nobody will know or understand except for the person who wrote it. Except for Jay and Alec, apparently. They know what it's all about. But we're not here to talk about that. Coin Dozer Clamber, we've got these... I guess what I was trying to say is that this section kind of reminds me, for some reason, reminded me of the section in Metal Gear Solid 3 where the sorrow brings back the ghosts of all the enemies you kill. It's like all the coins we've killed along the way have come back as purple zombies, but that's not actually what it is, they're just different enemies. They do not have DK coins on them, and they will instead try to push you off, which is why they're called, the purple ones, they're called coin dozers. And remember, coin is spelt with a K, and you know what will happen if you don't put that on your final exam. So I don't need to remind you. So we're jumping up here. I don't know, this level, I've heard people say that they hate this. I don't mind it. Especially with Dixie, it just kind of makes it a cakewalk, really. And notice that we've barely used Dixie's throw move at all. Not that it matters because wait, I think our bonus room is up there. Yep. Once again, keep hiding it in the foliage where you can't fucking see it, which is always great. So I'll grab some bananas real quick. And we'll probably end the part after this because it is getting late. So we got another one of these fucking bonus rooms, which are getting really old at this point, I've got to say. Where we have to collect the green bananas within the time limit, while avoiding a hazard that will kill you. I think what you're supposed to do to get up to that bonus room is bounce off that Recoil, who looks exactly like Tigger, and I will not hear any other opinions to the contrary. Recoil is Tigger. It is so blatant. But yeah, we've got these green bananas. We gotta keep grabbing the bananas in order to beat the stage. And I don't know, it's annoying because obviously the gimmick with the coin dozers is that they follow you and try to push you off the edge. And it's, I don't know, whatever, we beat it, we can move on. I don't know, I can't remember anything I was talking about. Jungle Jitters, GBA. Very low-key, kind of slow jazz. I don't know, it's not jazz. A very low-key and kind of slow remix of Jungle Hijinks, which is fun. I enjoyed Jungle Jitters in this game. It's such a shame that it starts out with like a solid 30 seconds to a minute of jungle noise. We didn't need that. I don't know, I guess David Wise was in an experimental phase of his music career. I'd very much like to interview him and ask him about the creative process behind composing the soundtrack for this version of the game, and what compelled him to include long stretches of ambient noise in 3 tracks in the game. But I digress. I would rather listen to this song personally, even with the ambience. I think that it's the better composed song, but I will admit that the ambiance really has no place going on for as long as it does, so... I'm gonna swap. Oh, for fuck's sake, game. Throw me a frickin' bone here! Alright, so we're gonna... Oh, fuck this. Okay, so now we have the steel barrel turned on. And that means we can come over here and kill the coin. And this is the only real coin in the stage, I gotta say. And somehow that first one didn't count. I guess it hit me first, and then just bounced off the screen. Which is just great, isn't it? Alright, now we gotta beat the rest of the stage with Kitty. Ugh. Who I've barely even talked about. People really hate Kitty for some reason. I don't know, I feel like there's worse things, there's more offensive things in the world to get angry about, but... What do I know? What do I know? I'm just some kid. So we have, I don't know, before we finish off the episode, because I don't want to save this for later, go do some side quest stuff real quick, because why the hell not? Down over here, actually up this way, we met Barter at his swap shop earlier. Is that a mirror? If it is, can I possibly borrow it? Thanks for that, Kitty. Oh no, look at the state of me! I'm a wreck! Take this wrench, I don't need it now. So you might remember that I said that you wanted to use the mirror on Baffle first. And that's because when you come back to retrieve your mirror... Hey Kitty, you want your mirror back? Well, if you want it back, then it's gonna cost you. That's right, 10 coins. Beauty doesn't come cheap, you know. Still want it? We have nothing else to spend our coins on anyway. Well, okay. I was getting bored of being so neat and tidy anyway. So now we have the wrench back, and if you remember, actually we never visited that NPC, so I guess we'll get to see him now. We'll go back to, I think this is Benny here. You can visit my brother Bjorn if you like, up at the other chairlift. Would you like to be using the chairlift? Alright, so there, Benny has his brother Bjorn, who also operates Elso, like what the fuck, also operates a chairlift. And he has a bit of a problem with his chairlift. Oh, hello, how are you, my fine furry friend, Kitty? I am being Bjorn, Benny's brother. I'm afraid that my chairlift is broken. I lent my number 6 wrench to someone, and they didn't return it to me. Hey, you found my wrench. Could I have it back? Thanks, you top kitty. You may use my chairlift for free from now on. Make sure to enjoy it. When it comes to riding chairlifts, quickies don't cut it. And there we go. We have our chairlift working again. So the Beartropolis zone will let us ride the chairlift. Tickets, please. Steady as you go now, kitty. I don't even think that ethnicity-wise that's even close to being the same thing, but I don't know what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be some kind of European, you know, whatever. Like they're Benny and Bjorn. Somebody please tell me what nationality Bjorn comes from. Okay, I've got my pen. Alright. Oh, come on. Alright, let's try that again. Finally, Jesus Christ. Nice, that's our banana bird for Razor Ridge that we couldn't get earlier, because we didn't have the mirror, because we didn't have enough coins. And because we missed it, we have to wait for the chairlift to come back. For some reason, you can't just press the button next to it and just, you know, warp back to Bjorn's. You have to wait for the chairlift to show up on the map. So, oh, I hope I can thread this needle. There we go. And there was like a split frame there, a split second, where Kitty was not on top of the thing. Like the chairlift only has like 2 frames of animation, like one where it's facing one way and one where it's facing the other. But yes, that takes care of that. We do not have to come back for that later and do that in the next episode, which is probably going to be packed because we got the final boss and stuff. So Join me. I think we had 4 episodes in the previous one, which would have been like part 11. This was part 12. So join me in part 13. That's my prediction. Part 13, which is shaping up to be the finale of DKC3. And until then, I'm Exo, and I hope you enjoyed the episode.